Hello friends, welcome to the HFY Ode, where we bring you new science fiction stories, a new world, a new adventure. And yes, there is no robotic or AI voices here, only real human voices with real human touch. So let's start this journey, and please subscribe my channel if you like the stories and press the bell icon for the latest updates. Let's have a story. Okay.
The Record Council of the Verlian Continuity convened on the 847th cycle after the fall of the Kethrian Zealotry. 12 elders sat in their memory thrones, crystalline processors humming with the weight of 10,000 years of archived wisdom. They had gathered to answer a single question. How had they been so wrong about humans? Elder Xylos activated the historical record. His voice, modulated through 4 millennia of service, carried no emotion. That was the Verlian way, but even he could not hide the pause before he began. By our ancient calculations, he said, humanity should have remained irrelevant. The record projected the first contact files. Humans emerged from a yellow star on the Spiral Arm's forgotten edge. Their ships were welded together from scavenged parts. Their bodies were soft, their lifespans laughably short. Compared to the towering Carthans, they were fragile. Compared to the Verlians, they were stupid. I personally reviewed their initial diplomatic submission, Xylos continued. It contained grammatical errors. They apologized for any trouble we might cause. They offered to trade dried plant leaves for navigation data. One of the younger elders interrupted. Dried leaves. Tea, Xylos said. They called it tea. The council chamber stirred. Tea. Humans had approached the greatest civilizations in the galaxy with tea. For decades, humanity remained on the edges. They did not demand territory. They did not proselytize philosophy. They built small trading posts on unclaimed asteroids. They repaired broken machinery for marginal species. They explored places no one else bothered to map. The glimmering void became their unofficial home. Xylos pulled up a holographic map. The void was a nebula graveyard stretching across 3 light years. Ancient civilizations had died there so long ago that even Verlian records had no names for them. The radiation patterns were chaotic. The gravitational eddies swallowed ships whole. Pirates used it as a border marker, not a destination. Humans built a refueling station inside it. By our calculations, Xylos said, that station should have failed within 1 standard year. The radiation alone would. He stopped himself. The younger elders exchanged glances. They had heard this phrase many times tonight. By our calculations. The phrase was becoming a joke, a bitter one. Xylos continued. Human traders learned to navigate the void's inner currents. They marked safe passages with physical beacons instead of digital maps. They developed radiation countermeasures that Verlian scientists had dismissed as primitive absorption gels. The gels worked. For 50 years, humanity remained quiet, curious, harmless. The galactic community stopped noticing them entirely. They were the janitors of interstellar space, always present, never important. Then the Kethrian Zealotry began its march. High Cleric Thalamir believed war was a prayer. The Kethrian Zealotry had existed for 3,000 years, but they had never expanded beyond their home cluster. Thalamir changed that when he seized power during a succession crisis. His doctrine was simple. The universe was a test. Battle was the question. Victory was the only acceptable answer. By our ancient calculations, Xylos said, and this time he heard the younger elders suppress a cough. The Kethrian military was formidable but not unbeatable. We deployed defensive fleets along the border. We sent diplomatic envoys with carefully calibrated compromise terms. Thalamir executed the envoys. Not with anger, with ceremony. He thanked them for participating in the holy arithmetic. He told their floating corpses that their sacrifice would be recorded in the Book of Purification. Then he sent their heads back to the Verlian Council in preservation jars. The council declared outrage. They did nothing else. System after system fell. The Kethrian fleet moved in perfect geometric formations, spheres within spheres, cubes rotating around central flagships. Their weapons were not advanced by galactic standards. What made them terrifying was their precision. They did not waste a single missile. They did not fire until the holy arithmetic said the shot would land. The Viridian Trade Federation surrendered after 3 hours. The Xylos Compact held out for 6 days. The Carthan Empire, still recovering from their previous losses to humans, sent a war fleet and lost 70% of it in a single engagement. Thalamir broadcast a message across the galaxy. "Resistance is a variable we have already solved for," he said, standing on the bridge of his flagship, the Divine Sum. His face was serene. His eyes were empty. "Surrender is not mercy. It is mathematics. You are either part of the equation or you are removed from it." The Galactic Concord held emergency sessions. The Verlians presented strategy after strategy. Every single one was rejected. "By our calculations," Xylos told the council at the time, "a direct military confrontation would result in a 94.7% loss of our defensive capacity. We recommend diplomatic containment." "Containment has failed," the Carthan representative growled. "Then we recommend strategic retreat to core systems." "Retreat to where?" the representative asked. "They don't stop. Thalamir doesn't negotiate. He doesn't take prisoners. He doesn't even accept surrender unless it's offered before he arrives." The council fell silent. That was the truth no one wanted to say aloud. The Kethrian zealotry was not conquering the galaxy. They were erasing it. Every world they took lost its name, its history, its species identity. Thalamir replaced local governments with prayer matrices. He took children from their parents and raised them in holy arithmetic academies. 3 generations later, no one would remember there had ever been a Viridian Trade Federation. The Verlian Council calculated every possible outcome. They ran simulations for 200,000 hours. Every single simulation ended with the same result. Loss. Not defeat, loss, as in extinction. Then a human freighter dropped out of FTL at the edge of the glimmering void and sent a message on an open channel. "I'm not an ambassador," the human said. His name was Elias Vance. He was 52 standard years old, which was middle-aged for a human but young enough that the Verlian life expectancy calculations classified him as a child. He had a scar across his left cheek from a radiation burn. He was missing 2 fingers on his right hand. He was the captain of a salvaged cargo hauler called the Lucky Guess. The Verlian Council accepted his transmission with skepticism bordering on contempt. Elder Xylos personally reviewed his file. Human, male, no military training, no political connections, no known combat experience. "By our calculations," Xylos said, "this individual has no qualifications to speak on matters of interstellar defense." But Vance waited through the translation delay. Then he spoke again. "I'm not going to speak on defense. I'm going to speak on the glimmering void. You know the zealotry will reach it in 8 weeks. They'll have to cross the nebula to hit your core systems." "That is correct," Xylos replied. "They won't cross it, they'll go around. That adds 3 weeks to their timeline. We are aware of the tactical geometry." "No," Vance said, "you're not, because you're thinking like people who want to survive. I'm thinking like someone who wants to kill them." The council erupted. Carthan representatives shouted over Verlian mathematicians. The smaller species, the ones who had already lost worlds, demanded to know what human tricks this was. No one trusted a species that had once used its own ships as bombs. No one wanted to admit they needed help from the galaxy's janitors. Vance let them argue for 7 minutes. Then he transmitted a single image. It was a map of the glimmering void's inner radiation currents. Verlian scientists had mapped the void's outer edges. Humans had mapped the heart. The difference was not subtle. The human map showed 312 navigable corridors through the dead zones. It showed pockets of calm radiation where sensors went blind. It showed gravitational eddies that could tear a cruiser in half if approached from the wrong angle. "We don't need to fight them," Vance said. "We just need to show them where to go." "By our calculations," Xylos began, "the radiation levels in those corridors would kill a human in 72 hours without protection," Vance finished. "We know, we live there, but Kethrian shields are tuned for open space combat. They're not tuned for nebular interference. If you lure them into the deep currents, their shields will overload in 90 minutes, maybe less." "And what of your ships? What of your people?" Vance smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We'll be wearing our absorption gels, and we'll be flying ships you already think are garbage. Nobody cries over garbage." The council voted. The motion passed by a single vote cast by the Carthan representative, who had once watched human ships ram his own fleet and still carried the scar. Humanity was given permission to act as bait. High Cleric Thalamir received the tactical report with his morning prayer. The divine sum floated at the edge of the glimmering void, flanked by 340 warships in perfect hexagonal formation. His intelligence officers had detected 14 human vessels moving through the nebula's outer rim. They were small. They were slow. They were unescorted. "By our calculations," his tactical priest said, "this is either a reconnaissance mission or a trap." Thalamir considered the holy arithmetic. Trap variables were easy to solve. If the humans were bait, there would be a larger force hidden nearby. He ordered long-range scans of all surrounding systems. Nothing. He ordered gravitational anomaly mapping. Nothing. He ordered a priest to pray for insight. The priest prayed for 40 minutes and reported, "The ancestors see no hidden fleet." "Then it is not a trap," Thalamir said. "It is incompetence pursued." The zealotry fleet entered the glimmering void. For the first hour, everything went as expected. The human ships fled deeper into the nebula. The Kethrian pursuers followed their predicted flight path. Weapons fire exchanged at range. 2 human ships took hits to their engines. They did not explode. They simply stopped moving, their crews evacuating into emergency pods. "By our calculations," the tactical priest reported, "we will overtake the remaining vessels within 47 minutes. Thalamir nodded. The arithmetic was clean. Then the first human ship did something unexpected. It stopped running. Not because it was damaged, not because it was cornered. It simply cut its engines, rotated 180 degrees, and began broadcasting a repeating signal on all frequencies. The signal was audio only, a human voice speaking a single phrase over and over. "Radiation surge incoming. Radiation surge incoming. Hold your breath." The tactical priest frowned. "That makes no sense. Holding one's breath has no effect on." The nebula answered for him. A wave of ionized particles slammed into the Kethrian fleet. It came from below the galactic plane, a current of stellar debris that had been building velocity for 10,000 years. Human ships had positioned themselves directly above a radiation vent. The Kethrian fleet had followed them into the kill zone. Shields flickered, not failed, flickered. For 17 seconds, every Kethrian warship lost 30% of its shield coverage. The human ships did not fire a single weapon. Instead, they released canisters, hundreds of small canisters that drifted into the Kethrian formation on the radiation current. They were not explosives. They were not mines. They were simple magnetic buoys, the kind humans used to mark safe corridors in the void. The tactical priest reviewed the telemetry. "High Cleric, the buoys are attaching to our hulls. Purpose? Unknown. They appear to be transmitting positional data back to the human fleet." Thalamir considered this. The holy arithmetic required a decision. If he pressed forward, he would catch the remaining human ships within 20 minutes. If he retreated, he would lose the pursuit and give the enemy time to regroup. He pressed forward. The second radiation wave hit 90 seconds later, stronger this time. Shield coverage dropped to 50%. A Kethrian destroyer on the fleet's port flank lost power entirely. Its crew began emergency prayers. The human ship still did not fire. Then the buoys activated. They were not transmitting to the human fleet. They were transmitting to each other. Every buoy that had attached to a Kethrian hull began pinging its nearest neighbor, creating a real-time map of the entire Zealotry formation. The human ships, drifting in the radiation shadows, could see every Kethrian position, shield strength, and engine output. They still did not fire. "They're not fighting," the tactical priest whispered. "By our calculations, they have achieved tactical superiority but are refusing to engage. Why?" Thalamir understood. His empty eyes showed the first flicker of something that might have been concern. "They are hurting us." The third radiation wave came from 3 directions at once. The glimmering void was not a passive environment. The humans had not simply fled into it. They had spent 50 years learning its rhythms. They knew exactly where the currents converged. They knew exactly when the radiation would peak. They had led the Zealotry fleet into a 3-way intersection of stellar death. Shields collapsed on 40% of Kethrian ships. Hull breaches opened across the formation. The geometric perfection that had defined Thalamir's fleet shattered into chaos. Ships crashed into each other, their sensors blind, their priests screaming prayers that no one could hear. The human ships finally fired. Not at the Kethrian fleet, at the nebula itself. They launched kinetic projectiles into the radiation vents, triggering a cascade reaction that amplified the energy wave by a factor of 10. The glimmering void became a furnace. Thalamir watched his fleet die. Not from human weapons, not from human courage, from a graveyard that humans had learned to love. "By our ancient calculations," his tactical priest said, his voice breaking, "this environment should have killed them first." Thalamir turned to the priest. "Then we miscalculated." On the lucky guess, Elias Vance watched the radiation readings climb past every safety limit his crew had ever used. The absorption gels on his skin were already cracking. 3 of his crew had collapsed from exposure. His ship's hull was peeling like old paint. He did not retreat. Instead, he gave the order that would become legend. "Take us to the divine sum." The lucky guess was a garbage scow. It had no weapons. It had no armor. It had no business flying into the heart of an enemy flagship, but it had something no Kethrian ship possessed. A human crew who had spent 50 years learning how to survive impossible places. They docked through a breached cargo bay. They moved through corridors filled with radiation-scrambled Kethrian soldiers. They did not fight. They did not stop. They walked past dying enemies like ghosts because the absorption gel on their skin made them look like Kethrian casualties. They reached the reactor core in 11 minutes. Elias Vance placed a salvaged mining charge against the primary coolant valve. He had no detonator. He had no timer. He had a piece of string tied to a friction trigger, the kind of device humans used to clear rocks on asteroid colonies. "By our calculations," he said to himself, smiling at the joke no alien would understand, "this is stupid." He pulled the string. The divine sum exploded from within. The survivors of the Zealotry fleet broadcast their surrender on every frequency. They did not negotiate. They did not demand terms. They simply stopped moving and transmitted the same message repeated. "The arithmetic has failed. The arithmetic has failed. The arithmetic has failed." Elder Xylos closed the historical record. The council chamber had been silent for 3 full minutes. "That is the battle that changed what we think of humanity," he said. The youngest elder raised a hand. "By our calculations," she stopped, caught herself, and started again. I mean to ask, how did they survive the radiation? Our models say human absorption gels fail at 68% of the measured exposure. Xylos nodded slowly. They did fail. The crew of the Lucky Guess received fatal radiation doses. All but 4 died within 30 standard days. But they knew that before they entered the nebula. Yes, the chamber was silent again. Xylos stood, his crystalline joints clicking. He walked to the memory throne and deactivated the record. Then he turned to face the council. I have spent 4,000 years calculating probabilities, he said. I have predicted the rise and fall of 17 interstellar empires. I have never been wrong about a species, until humanity. By our calculations, he paused, almost smiling, should be retired. What replaced it? The youngest elder asked. Xylos considered the question for a long moment. Imagination, he said. Humans did not win because they were strong. They did not win because they were determined. They won because they looked at a graveyard and saw a weapon. They looked at a garbage scow and saw a boarding vessel. They looked at certain death and saw a fair trade. He walked toward the chamber doors. The galaxy will never underestimate them again. Not because they are dangerous, but because they will always find a way to turn the thing we ignore into the thing that destroys us. The youngest elder called after him. What happened to Elias Vance? Xylos stopped at the threshold. He survived, just long enough to file a salvage claim on the Divine Sum's wreckage. By the time he died, his family had sold the scrap for enough to buy 3 new cargo haulers. That's it, that's the ending. Xylos turned. His ancient face held something that looked almost like respect. That is the ending. Humans do not fight for glory. They do not fight for victory. They fight because someone needs to stand in the way. And when they finish standing, they go back to trading tea. He left. The council sat in silence, recalculating everything they thought they knew about the small, fragile species that had saved them all.